Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another video episode on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian. I'm here today at the Rock Island Auction House taking a look at some of the cool guns that are coming up for sale in the Rock Island June of 2015 regional auction. And I found in one single lot both of these pistols. Now, from back there, these probably look like Astra 400s, and there's good reason for that. These are, in fact, copies of Astra 400s. What makes them both very interesting is that they were Anarchist or Republican copies made of these pistols during the Spanish Civil War. And the Spanish Civil War was a pretty horrific conflict. A lot of what it gets known for today is that it was kind of a proving ground for both German and Soviet forces to try out some new weapons and tactics prior to World War II. It was kind of a proxy war between communists and fascists in Europe. The fascists were, of course, supporting ultimately Franco, who became the fascist dictator of Spain. The communists were supporting a variety of socialist, communist, and anarchist groups within Spain. There was also a more moderate group on that side, the Republicans, who were interested in a more representative form of government to replace the monarchy in Spain in not atypical revolutionary fashion. The moderate parties on both sides got pretty well wiped away by the more extreme parties. And what we ended up with was a really nasty, brutal civil war for several years. Now, as it happened, the war broke out in 1936. By April of 1937, pretty much all of the weapons manufacturing facilities, which were concentrated in the areas of Guernica and Eibar, all of those were pretty much in the hands of the fascists. So the Republicans needed weapons. They got some from countries like Russia, but they did want to manufacture some of their own, or at least try to. So they set up a couple of manufacturing facilities, and they tried producing some of their own guns. And these are probably the two most common examples. They're both copies of the Astra 400. That had been adopted in 1921 as the standard Spanish Army pistol, and so it just made sense to use it. So while these are both copies of the Astra 400, they were made in different factories by different people. This one is an RE, or a República España copy, and this is a Francisco Ascaso. So why don't I bring the camera back here and let's take a closer look at both of these and learn a little bit about their production and what worked and what didn't. We'll start here with the RE, the República España, and the reason that it is so named is that it has this RE cipher on top of the barrel, and also molded into the grip panels here. Being an Astra 400 copy, of course, this is a straight blowback. It's in 9mm Largo. The bottom of the magazine also has that RE crest, although this will fit standard Astra 400 magazines. Now, these were manufactured in Valencia. It was interesting that the company took over a facility that had formerly been a fruit distribution warehouse. They turned it into a factory, and they were making these guns in 1938 and into the beginning of 1939. These were kind of the best of the bunch of the Spanish, of the Republican or anarchist copies of Astra 400s. The employees for this factory actually included a fair number of Astra employees who had fled, whose political sympathies sat with the communists and the socialists. So they kind of had more idea what they were doing than most of the other guys building pistol copies. These still were reputed to have some reliability problems. They weren't the best of guns. They made about 15,000 of them, which is not bad production quantity for the time period, for how long they had, and for the stresses that the supply system in that area was under at the time. So our other one here is a bit lower quality, but a bit more colorful and more interesting. This is a pistol named after Francisco Ascaso. He was a rather famous anarchist martyr in the Spanish Civil War. So as you can see here, these were manufactured in Catalunya, a city called Terrassa. Now, Ascaso he was born in 1901, he died in 1936. He was pretty much a professional revolutionary and a professional anarchist. He was involved in a number of bank robberies. He was involved in some assassinations of clergy. That was a significant part of the Spanish Civil War, was a revolt against the organized church of Spain. So Ascaso ended up exiled from Spain. He kind of floated around Europe where he wasn't particularly welcome anywhere by any of the governments because, well, he was a professional revolutionary. Ultimately, he came back to Spain as the Spanish Civil War started, and he was killed in the very first day of fighting, street fighting in Barcelona in 1936. And that made him a perfect figure to become a martyr for the cause. They named a brigade after him, and they named these pistols after him. So you can see they have F. Ascaso grips. They're marked on top of the barrel. And as with the other guns, the magazines are also marked. The bottom here, I have Ascaso out of Terrassa in 9 Largo. And then the side of these magazines is marked. The right side of this one is a bit faded, but it's Industrias de Guerra de Catalunya. So, war industries of Catalonia. The Ascasos, about 8,000 of these were manufactured from late 1936 into January of 1939. The factory for these was originally started by a group called the CNT/FAI, and that is the Confederación Nacional de Trabajadores and the Federación Anarchista de Ibérica. So the National Conference of Workers and the Spanish Anarchist Federation. They were two groups that worked together, somewhat ironically, for being anarchists. They put together the factory, they got it working, not all that well. They had a lot of quality control problems. Frankly, the guys making these pistols didn't have all that much experience making pistols, and it should not come as much surprise that the guns had some issues. Ultimately, the anarchists, the communists, the socialists, the Republicans, all lost the Spanish Civil War. Franco took over. So prior to the Spanish Civil War, there had been a lot of very small independent manufacturers of guns in Spain. One of the things Franco did was shut down most of those. He kept only a couple major companies, primarily, including the Astra company, companies that could be relied upon politically, that were large industrial concerns. And it was just easier for the government to work with a couple big companies like that than to try and work with a bunch of small independent manufacturers. So, kind of indicative of the fascist mindset, frankly. Well, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Spanish Civil War is kind of a grim subject, but also a very interesting one. If you would like to add both of these to your own collection, as I mentioned at the beginning, they are in a single lot together, along with 2 other guns. So if you take a look at the link in the description text below, you can go to Rock Island's catalog page, check out the photos and their descriptions of these, and place a bid online, see if you can win them yourself. Thanks for watching.